Okay, hello and good afternoon. So today I'm not going, I think because we are in the last session, I'm not going to be too technical. I'm not going to be to business side as well. So because I know everyone already feel very sleepy since 9:30 a.m., right? Okay. So hello and good afternoon. So my name is Fairoza Amira Hamzah. So I'm currently a senior AI researcher in Copy and Co Inc. Japan. So I'm currently doing freelance full time. It's not really full freelance because I still work 9 to 6 every day with a company in Japan. So I'm currently mostly a project manager that actually being in interface of the business and technical sides. Okay, so today I will just have a little bit introduction on how to build machine learning model by using low code and no code, but I'm not going to do the tutorial a lot actually. It's just like a demo, a simple demo only. Okay, so a little bit about me. Yeah, I think it's almost how many months that I didn't speak to the front of the public face to face. One thing because I'm just working from home, so everything is just online. So I received my bachelor, master, PhD from Japan, and I did my internship in UK as well. My background is electrical engineering, but during the PhD, I switched a little bit to the computer science. I also established Women in AI in Japan and Malaysia. So currently the president for Women in AI Malaysia. So we have a lot of events. Please join us in the event that we have, but mostly we are doing it online currently. So after finishing my PhD, I was an assistant professor in the Kyoto College of Graduate Studies for Informatics Japan, so where I teach the AI programming, machine learning, involved in English and Japanese language. And then after that, COVID happened. So I come back to Malaysia. I joined the industry as machine learning engineer in 3 companies in Malaysia. I also established my own startups called Evaya Holdings dan Berhad, Evaya Technologies, and we are still there. But we switched mainly to the training company of AI because of how AI is not really matured in Malaysia yet. And then after that, after my last company mentioned Torrent Technology, and I also being I just become a shareholder for Evaya Holdings number Berhad currently, and I joined the company in Japan as senior AI researcher. So this is a little bit about me. I've been in a lot of talks, conference, researches, and I also been featured to the TVs in Malaysia. And recently, I think will be on air soon to the TV in Germany as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. Okay, just connect with me in LinkedIn and also Twitter. But I'm not really as active as Dr. Pooh in the Twitter. It's a very simple tweets sometimes. So I think this one we have already been discussing a lot and a lot on AI engineering pipeline. So basically, usually you will need a team of AI engineers, a team of data engineers, data analysts, data scientists, machine learning engineers, front end software engineer, just to build an AI, to build the AI model to deploy it. But in reality, Malaysia, you won't have all of these people in the team usually. When I was in a company in Malaysia, I always become the only AI engineer, the only data scientist. So I did everything end to end by myself. And I will have some maybe intern to help, and maybe sometimes an engineer from another department that really very enthusiastic in artificial intelligence that will help me. But usually it's going to be me alone. But in a company in Japan currently, Japan is very mature. They are advanced. They are developed country. They are not really like us. So in our team, usually we don't really have we have a front end, we have a back end, we have the QA. We don't really have a QA because we do automated QA actually. So I asked the CTO, why don't we have a QA engineer to know just do the testing for the whole pipeline of our no code platform, and also what we want to deliver to the client. But the CTO said actually we can do it automatically, so we do CI/CD a lot. So yeah, so this is the thing that you need to have. You need to wrangle the data, you need to create a model, you need to deploy the model, and after that you need to have maybe some visualization. So mostly all of these will involve 70% of them is data analysis. So for those who really doesn't like data, so don't become a data scientist. Because most of your job is just wrangling data. Like for example, if in my current company we do defects detection, where we need to identify a crack inside an image. So most of this is our project. And then during the data annotation, I think the data annotation just take about 3 months, 4 months. we annotate the data, we give it to the client, and after that, like the annotation is done like automatically as well. But then the annotation is not really good, so we need to get back to the client, and then the client check back, and after that, you need to check back the data again. So everything is about data, seriously. So if you don't really like data cleaning, data wrangling, please don't become a data scientist. That's it. Even if you are a machine learning engineer, also you need to wrangle the data. Okay, so based on my experience doing research and also in industry, so academic research is very easy, I would say, because you have a partially clean data. You get the data from Kaggle, you get the data from maybe the open source, like maybe you're using, like if you're doing object detection, then you have Coco or Pascal VOC, and then if you're doing image classification, you have ImageNet. So it's all a partially clean data, but industry is very messy data. When I was in a semiconductor company, they give me, I think, like 100 rows of, not 100 rows, 100 columns of features. And you need to predict which one is the best based on all of the rows point, I think, like something like that. And then from these 100 features, you just need to take 10 to 20 features for how you are going to do that. That's why the data in the industry is very messy. So in our current company, we have a lot of like images data compared to the tabular data, and the data is messy as well. Like the image is sometimes here and sometimes here, and then sometimes the lighting is very bad. So the first thing for it is to reorganize the data, to clean up the data. So the volume of the data, in academic, you have a very small, or sometimes you have a medium size, but industry is usually either small, medium, or huge. So for an AI engineer or data scientist like us, we really like a huge data set. We sometimes don't like the small data set, because the very small data set, you need to produce a lot. So in our current company, in my current company, Corpi, we have features that we call as data generation. So what we call anomaly data generation, where we can generate the data by themselves automatically, because sometimes the client just give you 10 images. Okay, they give you 10 images, maybe out of that, like 3 NG and 7 okay image. Then you need to predict the NG one. Wow, that's very difficult, because it's not image classification, it's object detection some more. So for project KPI in academic, usually like the theory and algorithm. So if you are improving, you really like on model, then for academic on building model. But industry is usually the serving time, the cost, and the trustworthiness. We have a talk on explainable AI just now. So that is the thing that in industry they really put into a focus, is the trustworthiness of model. So back when I was in a semiconductor company, they asked me like, okay, I already received this very good model, is 97%. And then how do you want to explain to those who doesn't understand AI at all that this model is really trustworthy and you can put it into production? So that's how it comes to explainable AI. And of course, the serving time, which is the inference time, is the most important. And of course, the cost as well. Like if you can do it in CPU, why did you go to the GPU? All about money, return of investment. So academic usually a non-profit based, and industry is a profit based. That is the two different things that is very different. So as a project manager, so currently I did a lot of project management. So as I'm the interface between the business and technical, so usually before we set up any AI project, we need to understand what is the business requirement, what is the end product, the purpose of the project, and then usually I will divide the requirement into the data, technical, and user requirement. So the data, usually some of them, they want internal data, which is the client's company data. Like for example, if you do it with Toyota, then Toyota want to have it with their own data. But at the same time, their data is very small, so sometimes you need to top up the external data, you need to create a new data, something like that. That like after that, is it require extensive data cleansing, and how many data that the clients have? So usually this is the first thing first that we really ask when we first meeting a client. And after that, the technical requirements. So some of the clients, they want to deploy in cloud, some on the premise. But interestingly, Malaysia, they are very open to the cloud, because we don't really care about privacy, honestly. Okay, so but in Japan, they do really care about privacy a lot. So most of the projects deployed on premise. And the most interesting part is like, because privacy matters, security matters, they don't like have the external connection to the internet. So the model itself, like when I think like my CTO, like the CTO told me, like there is one experience when they go to the client's factory to deploy it, and then they cannot run the model. Why? Because the model cannot be downloaded because there is no internet. So usually what we did is like we have the model save everything in the Docker so that we can put it up into the software that the client want, and we will connect it. So that's it. So Japan is like very privacy, high secure country. So if you have this experience of working outside of Malaysia, you can see that how much importance, or maybe if you're working in MNC, you will know that how secure it should be every data. You cannot simply just put up your codes or in the ChatGPT and ask them, okay, why this code is very bad. If you do it in the company that really value the security, then you will get backlash. Okay, so we need to do extensive machine learning? But most of the companies, most of our clients, they don't really ask us to build a new machine learning model. What they want us is just a pre-trained model. So an extensive literature reviews are the most important in our company. And then do we need a third-party connection? Like for example, now we need to connect with the PLC board, something like that, and do some sort of IoT. And then another thing will be the user requirement. Do they need a user interface? So if they need a user interface, then we need to build a dashboard. But we have our own standard dashboard that when the client want it, then we already have it, and we just like tailor to the client needs. And of course, the timeline and deliverables and the project cost. So this is the reality of AI engineering. So the cost of server hosting, hiring expertise is too expensive. And in Malaysia, we have lack of expert manpower. In Japan, we have a lot, but we need to reduce the time of the engineers need to set up the environment. So that's why in Corpi, like we built the new no-code platform actually. The no-code platform is being used by the engineers and the clients. So because we need to use multiple platforms, right? So to just like starting up building environment will take you about 2-3 days. So why don't we just like reduce the time? So this is some of the tech stacks that I have been involved with, and I think most of the engineers here already been involved with. Like databases, usually SQL is the main. In my previous company, we use MQL, which is the MongoDB. And then the CI/CD tools. Currently in Corpi, we use GitLab and Notion as our collaboration tools. In my previous company, we use Jira and GitHub, some of them using Bitbucket. Jenkins is a must. I think like we use Jenkins as our CI/CD. And then for development tools, yes, Keras is one of that. Oh, I didn't put Keras here, sorry. Because we have tf.keras now, right? So you don't really use Keras, you use tf.keras. So it's basically a TensorFlow. Okay, we'll put it later somehow. So I use Keras a lot when I was a developer. Currently, my development, I was just like 30 to 40%. Most of them, I'm doing the project management actually. So visualization, I think like in a factory, I think in Malaysia, we use Power BI a lot, sometimes Tableau. But in a software company like us, we use Streamlit. We don't use Streamlit. I think the front end engineer, they use the Node.js, not the JavaScript, React.js a lot, I guess. And yeah, our code mostly is coded in Fast API actually. So the deployment, of course, Kubernetes and Docker. So everything should be Dockerized, even started from the development. In Corpi, we don't use virtual environment, but if you want to start develop in our server, Docker first, means like you have your folder, and after that you build a Docker, and then you will install everything in a Docker, not using the virtual environment at all. So that one is quite new to me as well, because most of the companies in Malaysia, we started with the virtual environment. So for the ML ops, in Corpi we have our own ML ops, but usually we also have like Google Cloud credits a lot, but we don't really use it a lot lah. So most of this, like if you are very familiar with ML ops, you will hear about like I think like ML Flow, Kubeflow, and then like if you use like Amazon SageMaker also have their own ML ops. So yeah, talking about project management in AI field as well. In AI, we also using the agile software engineering lifecycle, but our agile is much more agile than normal software engineering. Because the software development, like if you are building an apps, then maybe you just need to have like, okay, you test and everything is bad, some bad, something like that, then you just can, like reverse back again. But model is something that you already have maybe a 95% accuracy, but then if you go to the production, it will become very bad, then you need to reiterate back again and again. So we are doing agile actually, but when I was in semicon company, most of them, they really want to have a waterfall. They need to have a solid reasoning in every stage before moving to another stage. But right now in Corpi, we did agile. So I also did some development flow in like if it is in AWS. Like last time, this is what I did in my previous company, which is like using the serverless to build this everything, like just using the API and everything is doing in AWS. So okay, we are okay. So we still have time. So just try to answer this question. How long does it take from planning to POC or development stage before software testing for any computer vision related projects average? They say like you need to build up an object detection model, and then like the detection model is very simple, and then you just need to deploy maybe like just using a webcam, something like that, a webcam, and then like just, or maybe a phone. So how long does it take? This is from my experience currently. So there's no right or wrong answer. So it always depends on how cooperative your team is and how lenient your client is. But in Japan, of course, we are very strict. When they said you need to submit on 25th September, by who or by crook, 25th September you need to submit. There will be no extension of deadline. That is Japan. But Malaysia, it's okay. We can take our own time. On the way, right? Okay. So yeah, everyone is talking about 6 months. Actually, no, it's 3 months only. Usually, when we give quotation to the client, it's either 2 months or 3 months. It will never go beyond 6 months. So the first phase is, okay, if they say like you want to have it 3 months, so make sure you put up senior AI engineer or senior data scientist in your team. If you have all juniors to build in 3 months, going to die. You're going to extend and extend and extend. So this is what the average lah. So currently the project that I manage as well, is just a 2 months time frame. So it's very tight deadline. And I was very surprised also. And it was like, and when we asked for a deadline extension, of course they say no. That's the thing. But in Malaysia, you can always extend and extend. And last time when I was in a semicon company, the project of a computer vision project, just to gather the data, took about 6 months, something like that, because it was COVID and everything. So to build a model, you know, like European style. I work in a MNC, a European company. So they are very lenient as well, relaxed, like Malaysian. So after 1 year, we still don't have anything. It's okay, we can take another 1 year. So that's it, you know, but not in Japan. Okay. So, okay, this one is in USD lah. Because I work in a company in Japan, right? How much it costs for end-to-end computer project, not for POC, right? In USD. This is also like we don't really have right and wrong answer. 60,000 USD, I think equal to how much ringgit Malaysia is? 180,000 ringgit Malaysia, I guess, right? 200 something, right? How much do you think? Yes, it's around that actually, 60,000 USD. That one, just end-to-end computer vision project. So that's why most of the companies in Malaysia, they don't really prefer to hire AI engineer or data scientist, because sometimes your project will become 1 year, 2 years, lay back, something like that. So you just buy the ready-made product. Like for example, like Corpi, we are really an AI company. We have our own product already. So they just buy it from us, so they will get like much lesser and lower price compared to like you have your own AI engineer, data scientist. The 2 years your product is up, but at that time it's already like, oh, it's not the latest product already. We already have like, you know, ChatGPT is here, but you are just starting to have your own ChatGPT in a company. So there will become like, you know, trade-off lah between cost and timeline. So this is the normal cost, but in Malaysia, no one is going to pay for this. Serious. Okay, so when I was doing my own startup, like they give us like a 3 months or 6 month timeline to get an AI project. So usually the quotation that we give to them is like 30,000 ringgit Malaysia or 50,000 ringgit Malaysia. Even that also is very difficult to close the project actually, because Malaysia can afford is less than 100K. But Japan, they can afford more. I have one project that I currently manage. It's just 2 months project, but they pay us about 50,000 USD for 2 months. That is Japan. So I cannot compare Japan and Malaysia. It's totally big different. But I hope like someday, 10 years later, we will have this in Malaysia, that we as AI engineer is being valued more in Malaysia. Okay. So who will usually be involved in completing any AI project? Hi. Okay, so this the answer, all of the above. So basically, you need everyone: data scientist, AI engineer, BD officer, QA, data engineer, project manager. So basically, what is the difference between data scientist and AI engineer actually? Okay, for me, it's also a very confusing title. So what I can understand from data scientist and AI engineer, data scientist is more to subject matter expert, and they are more into the statistics. They don't really deploy the AI products, but AI engineer usually can do data science and also can deploy the AI model. And they are more into modeling, finding, tuning, and deploying. So QA, of course lah, you need to test and everything. You need the BD officer. Even though I'm a project manager, I translate the slides from English to Japanese, and I also present to the clients, but they also assigns one business development officer to my project, so that they can actually communicate very well with the customer. They understand very well how the business is. Project manager usually become the middle person, that you are being pushed by the BD officer and you are being pushed by the technical team. Like for example, when you want to set up the KPI, right, of a project, okay, like you say, I want to have like misdetection rate of 0. But then the technical team say, well, this is impossible. Our data is very bad. How come you want to get misdetection 0? But then your BD officer said, no, the client said we need to have 0. So that is the role of project manager, which is to negotiate in the technical team and also to negotiate in the business team. It's quite difficult, but after a lot of experiences, then you get somehow to deal with the technical and business team. Okay. So, okay, now I would like to introduce the low code versus no code. So low code, like, is usually suitable for data analysts and data scientists. It's a visual programming, a model-driven design, and accelerate software development. So usually, I think most of the developers, the data analysts and data scientists, they will use, like, if you are using AWS, then maybe Amazon SageMaker. Amazon SageMaker is a very nice platform where you can build, train model, manage model, and deploy it. Last 2 years, I have a training with the lecturers in a university in Malaysia, and in that training, I actually teach them on how to actually do this end-to-end in Amazon SageMaker, where actually you can build the Lambda by using SageMaker. At the same time, you can actually reiterate the training, the machine learning model. So this is one thing that you can do with Amazon SageMaker. And then there's another one, I think PyCaret. I never tested it before, but you can do the data prep. So this one is like, mostly what you can understand with low-code AI is actually something like Keras. Keras is much more to low-code plus programming, but it's a very simple where you don't really need to understand the maths. I think like this morning, we have like the introduction on Keras, right? That one, you don't need to understand the maths. Yes, exactly. You don't really need to understand the maths. That is low-code AI. So it's a part of that. So it's a simple input function to implement machine learning. So the no-code AI is very suitable for the product manager, business people, where no programming required. It's just drag and drop. Like you see here, like you can get the training loss curve just by using the interface. So after this, I will show you how this is being done. Everything is in Japanese language, but it's okay. I will translate one by one. No worries about that. Okay. So this is the company that I'm working. So we are enabling mission critical AI. We have the values of the Sasuga factor. Sasuga means like, how to explain this Sasuga? Maybe Dr. Pooh can help me. Where's Dr. Pooh? He's outside. Okay, Sasuga means like, you are like this, something like that. Sasuga desu ne, mitai na kao. Do shimasu. Sorry, I cannot. Maybe you can try to Google what is the meaning of Sasuga, because we don't really have the words in English in really. So meaning that it's like you really something like that lah. Excellence, growth mind. As expected. Yes, exactly. Sasuga. Okay. And then the excellence, growth mindset, ownership, humility, and kindness. So this is our product that we call as Confide. We have XAI inside it, explainable AI. So you don't need to code. You get the XAI right away. And we also have QA AI, and we also have AI fairness. But AI fairness is actually currently in building. So this is what the one which is consistent, optimal, normal, fair, interpretable, dependable, and engineerable. So the last one is the most important part because we want to make sure that our engineers can do it easily. What you need to do for 1 week, you can just do it in 1 day. So that's why whenever like we have a project from a client, then I will give to an intern, which is they only have a master degree. They currently pursue master degree or a bachelor degree. So they can just use the platform to retrain and to provide me the results within 1 day. So this is the product actually. I'm so sorry because there is no introduction video in English, but the product itself we have English and Japanese. Okay, so this is how the dashboard looks like, which is like you want to validate the data. You will get this is during the training and validation, so you will get the coefficient matrix here, you will get the confidence score. So this Corpi is actually focusing on object detection. So if you're very familiar with object detection, like you can actually adjust the confidence score to increase the MMP actually, to increase the amount of misdetection, to reduce the amount of misdetection, and also over detection. Okay. And so this is the visualization. Okay, so you will get already like, okay, so this is the real data, and then you get over detection here, and you get how much NT here. So we always deal with this kind of data. So this is the explainable AI that I think like, say, what is this now, that explain on explainable AI. So basically you can see right away the heat map of this data. Like you can know like why this one is not good. And they also have like the QA AI, which is QA AI, like you have a data set, then you want to check the distribution of data set. So usually when we get our data from the clients, after we annotate, we check, we do the exploratory data analysis, we check like how much is the bounding box, like where is the bounding box located, like how big the bounding box, how small the bounding box, how much is the ratio of each group of data. So like this one, we can see like what is the accuracy of each data, something like that. And then this is the another features that is very interesting, which is very interesting one, which is like to generate NG data, where you know like in every defects detection, every anomaly detection, you will only have like 2% or 1% of data, and then like when the client give it to you, you cannot actually, you need to have more data to make sure that your model is accurate. So this is the NG data generation, where actually you can take it a one image, and after that like you can put up like this one, they already have the defects here, and it actually can be generated to another images automatically. Then it will be automatically generated like this, generated here, and you can we can make it randomly. So this is one of the features that is very important, that developed because of the clients, what we face when we have a problem with the data with the client. So this is another one where actually we do the machine learning model. So Gaikang Kensa AI, this is when we upload the data. So just upload the zip data, no need to have like, you know, we don't need to unzip the data first. So we have a training and test data here. And then this one is a model training. So we go to the model center, and then we can choose either C model or P model. So the model that we currently have in our platform is YOLO 10, YOLO X, YOLO V5, and another one is AM detection. So this is how you can train. You can actually change the parameter, like you can change the image size according to what you want, and then you can change the batch size and everything. But this one usually is not being done by the client. Usually client give you a project, you will never ask the client to train for you. The engineers are doing it. That's why I said just now, I told you guys that we have interns that actually help to do it without actually need to set up the environment and write codes. This is really helpful because most of the project that we have has a very tight deadline of 2 months and 3 months only. So we can get the training loss, and then the model is safe, and then we can delete the model, we can actually retrain the model. So this is the model evaluation. So this is the most important part that we currently have, because this is the one that we always show to the client. So we take the test data. So usually the client just want to see this page. They have this login page. They just want to see the model evaluation page, how much the model behave. After that, evaluate, and then you will get this. You will know like how much is the, like the threshold, the confidence score. Is it okay or not? Do you have a you have the over detection or misdetection rate, something like that. So this is like, actually this is the video of like 4 to 3 months ago. Like this time we already have increased a lot of features that we have, and actually we are hiring C++ engineer. We have another project. If you are very proficient in C++, no need to understand Japanese language at all, because you will have someone like me that will become the interface of you. So yeah, seriously. So we are urgently looking for a C++ engineer. So if you want to join this company, you will get your salary in Japanese yen. So if Japanese yen is very high, then you get a lot of money lah. If Japanese yen is down, then you will get low salary, and it's like 9 to 6 work, and then it's freelance. So no need to apply for leave, something like that. So if you really want to join us, just send your resume to me. I will pass to my boss. Okay, no need to understand Japanese at all. So I will not explain more on explainable AI, because we already have it just now. So this is AI fairness, something that I would say in Malaysia is quite new. So in Malaysia, we don't really care about the bias in AI. Even the bias in your workplace also, no one care. If you right, is it correct, right? No one care. Like you have like how much females in your team, how much disabled in your team. Like no one cares about that. This is Malaysia. But most of the big companies, they started to go for diversity, equity, and inclusion. But what I would like to say here is Japan is also a country that really highlight on diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as to take care of this AI fairness, which is the bias in AI. Like there's a lot of, this one is I took it from Google. Like we have reporting bias, automation bias, selection bias, implicit bias. Like even like the very simple example of bias in machine learning that we have, like for example, if you are using a data set to classify a beauty of a human, so how do you classify beautiful? So usually if you use a data set of like maybe white females, then they will say like the fairer the skin, the more beautiful you are. Then all Malaysian Chinese here are very beautiful lah. Something like that, This is the thing that in the bias in AI that we really need to eliminate. So that's why in our no-code platform, Confide, we have this AI fairness topic, and we have like one person that really in charge of it, so that we can have AI fairness in our platform itself. As like for example, this one, the sampling bias. We received 500 responses and found that people love responding to surveys. But actually, you give it to someone that really like to answer survey. For example, you give them a voucher of like 10 ringgit Shopee voucher. So you go to the maybe like young kids that really like to go for Shopee. Shopee is Shopee. So you will get them to answer your response. And then like it will, if your survey is about like how much you are spending every month, and then like if your sampling is actually on 20, like people in the youth of 90 to 20 years old, then it will be biased on that as well. Another thing is the brilliance bias. The tendency to think of brilliance as a male trait. Or I'm not really, I didn't say that male is always like the brilliance one. I see a lot of males here. We just want to say like actually we need to have a very huge proportion. Like I really like Malaysia lah, because Malaysia you have a lot of females that is very good in the field. Even in this room also we have a lot of females. But in the time when I was in Japan, like only few females are there. It's very difficult to gather females in the tech forum, actually in the tech conferences. So this is the thing. Of another one is a confirmation bias, like seeking evidence that confirms our belief. Like for example, like I think like there's a lot of things like fake news, something like that. Like you just want to find whatever you want to believe. So this is the bias that we need to eliminate in our world, in our daily life, as well as in AI. So that's all from me. I hope you guys enjoy the talk. Just connect with me in LinkedIn and Twitter. I think we can open for Q&A if you have time. Okay, yes. Yes. Okay, that's a very good question. So we usually do it inside the distribution. We just do it in distribution, and how we measure is we are using the pixel value lah, pixel wise. So for example, the image just now, right? You see the ring. So usually the ring, before we need to center the ring first. So the first data cleansing that we need to do is to do the auto alignment. So in our config, we have the auto alignment features. So all the images should be on the center. So you will have the same ring in every images, the same location of the ring. So from there, we can actually generate it inside the ring. We know already, okay, this is the ring, so we can generate it inside the ring. So it usually depends on the client as well. Some of the clients, they want the defects that is in distribution. Some of them in out of distribution. So if they want it out of distribution, then we can do it out of distribution. It depends on their needs lah. Yeah, there's a lot of parameter that you can tune. Usually the pixel location lah. I think the main important is the pixel location. Anything else? Yes. A very tough question. Usually, okay, for a new data set, it is really advisable to do it by yourself manually first. But if you don't have time, right, like I think that you can use GAN. There is a GAN for text, right? Generative Adversarial Network for text. So if you have like maybe you can train 100 or maybe like 1,000 data that have like the person name of Malay, and then another one is Indian, another one is Chinese. If you cannot find any data set of that, if you can find a data set, then just use the publicly available. But if you don't have that, you can use GAN actually, and then after that they can generate the same thing. Another thing is like maybe you can do oversample or undersample. There's also this kind of things where you are very lazy to label the data. So what in my company, what we currently do actually, because we don't really deal with the text data, we deal with the image data. So when we have very small data, what the engineers are doing is actually they train the model first. After that, they can detect, right? Okay, like for example, the data annotation, right? You need to annotate 1,000 images. Wow, very tedious, stressful. So they started with 100, annotate the 100, and put it into the model, train the model. After that, you will get the location. They can predict where is the bounding box of every defects. So after that, they will do it like all the rest of 900 data that need to be annotated will be done automatically by using the model. Just need to check few things only, no need to do 1,000. I think you can do the same thing. You can train the model, after that you generate back again. Okay, thank you very much.